Thank you, Mr. Agrawal, for your informative insights on citizen-centric G2C applications in place in the state of Madhya Pradesh and use of geospatial technologies across development verticals. I would now like to invite on stage our next speaker, Dr. Ashok Joshi, Director of the Maharashtra Remote Sensing Application Center. Please take over, sir.
A very good afternoon to you all. Thank you, Ajay, to give us the platform where I can really share the work being carried out at Maharashtra Remote Sensing Application Center. And the main objective of coming over here was basically to thank the industry because, because without you, we cannot really carry out the projects. And particularly, Maharashtra has this time again set a new milestone. You know that almost in 2004, that time, Maharashtra started georeferencing of cadastral map. That was the toughest project. It started in Maharashtra, and we have set the methodology and all, and then it was followed all over the country. This time around, now Maharashtra has set out the mapping of the entire state on 1:4,000 scale. We had a 300 crore plus project to do the mapping of the entire state on 1:4,000 scale using high resolution satellite data. Almost 3 years back we started, and now it is now almost getting ready. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, because it will be difficult for me to show the individual project, which will be just too long a presentation. So I'm just giving you the glimpse of the projects going on in the Maharashtra Remote Sensing Application Center. Most important is the Mahabhumi project, which I am talking about. That is on 1:4,000 scale. And we all know that when you talk about any kind of mapping, you should have a base map to have, so that you can put all the information on a base map. Under Mahabhumi project, we have done the georeferencing of all the satellite data on 50 centimeter data for the entire state. And then we had the stereo data and tri-stereo data for the entire state, where we had generated the DM and the slope and contours at 2-meter interval. So for the entire Maharashtra, we have created a base map which includes basically almost every other feature which is available in the Survey of India topo sheet. Like you have the transport layer with all the details possible. You have all the irrigation canals, all the irrigation structure, water resources structures. You have the land use. You have all urban structures. So the entire mapping on 1:4,000 scale will be ready by the end of this December. And this is all being done using a very standardized, should say, is data structure, so that it can be followed for the further analysis for any kind of activity in the state of Maharashtra. And then we have a very prestigious project that is basically integrated forest information system, where you know the Supreme Court has given the directive that wherever there is a discrepancy between the forest boundary and the revenue boundary, that has to be sorted out. So using 50 centimeter data, we are trying to resolve the issues with the forest department. Almost the work of the 8 districts in Maharashtra is going on. And we have also given them a lot of mobile apps. I'm not mentioning the mobile apps because for if you can just go through the geo portal of MRSAC, you can see what mobile apps we have developed. So here also for, because when the forester, they go in the field, they don't know where the forest boundary is. So we have given the geo PDF to them, and there's a mobile app, so that he will know where his boundary ends and the revenue boundary starts. So with the forest department, we are carrying out the 8 districts, studies of the 8 districts to sort out the issue of the revenue land and the forest land. And another major prestigious project is the Maha-Agritech project. You know that e-governance is very important, and Maharashtra has taken the lead, maybe the only state where we are carrying out the agriculture production estimation almost for major crops in Kharif as well as Rabi. Initially, we started the mapping of the crops for the entire state using planet data, but every fortnight we were receiving the data, but however, because the volume of data is more, so we have now switched over to Sentinel data. So using the Sentinel data for the major crops, we are giving the estimate to the Agriculture Department, which is also being used for the insurance purpose. So all the major crops are being mapped for Kharif and Rabi. For last 3 years, this project has been going on, and now it will be extended for another 3 years. So this is the MahaAgriTech project. And of course, we all know that municipal urban mapping under DMA project, I will not go much into that. Then you have the flood maps. You know, flood is a very important, should say, disaster in most of the states. So government of Maharashtra has been looking into Maharashtra, basically 2 river basins, Krishna and the Bhima. And MRSAC also has expertise in the drone mapping. We have the drone with us, as well as when required, we also take the help of the industry to survey the area. Most of the forts of Maharashtra are being now mapped using drone, where we are doing the 3D mapping of the forts, and also we are giving the architecture drawings derived from this drone data. We have the sustainable sand mining project with the mines and geology. Then we have a very important project, which is basically piped water supply scheme. You know, when under Jal Jeevan, when the water supply line was basically laid down, so there was a need that where these pipelines are. So MRSAC has captured all the data from the piped lines, and this is all available as a geotagged information into a database on MRSAC portal. And WSSD in department, all their engineers, they use this data for their day-to-day activity. And another important area is prediction of groundwater scarcity zones. You know, the groundwater, if the depletion of the groundwater in a particular area is more than expected, then that kind of alert is generated, which is basically given to the local authorities that the groundwater depletion in a particular area is more than expected, and accordingly the measure should be taken up. So these are all the operational projects which are going on. And topographic mapping for CITCO, you know, using the drone data on 1:1000 scale, because CITCO is basically a developmental agency in the government of Maharashtra. So to help them make the development plans, we are flying the drone and collecting the data, and also generating the mapped, all the mapping is done, and those maps are supplied in a 1:1000 scale to CITCO. And warehousing corporations, all the warehousing corporations, wherever they have their warehouses they are all basically mapped. And even they will have the AutoCAD drawings of each of the warehouse. All those things are georeferenced, and they are put onto satellite data. So you can go to any warehouse, and then you can see which are the different plots allotted to which industry and what's the status. So this is another portal developed for Warehousing Corporation of Maharashtra. And mining excavations under Mahabhumi project are being mapped along with the Director of Mines and Geology. Again, it's on 1:4000 scale. And of course, for MSEB, Electricity Board. And we have another major project where we are trying to do the attachment of the attribute data along with the map data. That is for the Mumbai city under Bhunaksha portal, where we are working with the NIC and trying to provide both the solutions at a time whenever there is a registration. So map also should be updated. That kind of approach is being followed for Mumbai city. And now, since we have the base map on 1:4000 scale, now we are planning that how this base map can be enriched with the information being generated by different departments. And in the morning also, we have been talking about the Jal Shakti Abhiyan. So under Jal Shakti, Catch the Rain, basically we have to know where the assets are, where the government assets have been constructed, where we have the rainwater harvesting structures. So all that is being done on 1:4000 scale using the geotagged information from the field. And since we have The advantage of 1:4,000 scale data is can be used for all the other schemes of the government of India. For example, Atal Bhujal Yojana. So unless until you carry out the mapping on large scale, you really cannot uh, attend to the needs of the Atal Bhujal Yojana. And then we had another scheme of Jal Jeevan Mission, where we are supposed to provide the 55 liters per day to each resident in the country, which is very ambitious. So it is not possible at least I can say in Maharashtra, in many of the areas, even in the irrigated areas may be possible, but in other areas it may not be possible. So how to supply the drinking water in those areas? So you have to depend either on the surface water or on the groundwater. So if there's a big surface water body, you have the regional scheme. If you don't have the surface water, then you can have the groundwater. So whether that kind of availability of groundwater is there or not, that you have to really search and then accordingly give the recommendation. So under Jal Jeevan Mission, we have taken up the project with the WSSD, and we are carrying out again on 1:4,000 scale. And a geospatial approach for mapping of the smart village. Because today what's happening is, there are many agencies in the government. You have the NABARD, you have the many NGOs, government, so many organizations are there in the government who basically construct water harvesting structures. And in all these schemes like Jal Shakti, Jal Jeevan and all, we are interested that where the existing structures are. But to say, even if you go to a Gram Panchayat, ask them where the structures are, you are not likely to get any map. There's no map available in the government to say where the water harvesting structures have been constructed and when. This data is not available at all. So under a smart village, we are trying to do the mapping of all such structures from the high-resolution satellite data, and then go to the field and do the geotagging, so that we'll know that where the structures are, and then where the structures are not there, where the gap areas are. And based on the GIS database, we can suggest where a structure should come, because we have the DM and contours on 2 meters. We have the drainages on 1:4,000 scale, which maybe first order drainage on 1:4,000 scale cannot even be, one cannot even think of on even 50,000 scale. So you have a lot of information available, but when you want to do any development in the villages, it is difficult. So under Smart Village, this project is being taken up, where we will be mapping all the structures, including the where the panchayat building is, where the school is, where even the tube wells are, whether it's a irrigated tube well or maybe drinking water tube well, bore well, all such things are being mapped, so that you will have, because very important thing in our country is whenever anybody goes to the village, he doesn't know where the government has spent money. So a lot of CEOs used to come to us that I want to do the mapping, I want to know what structures have been constructed. So now we are planning that under Smart Village, we will have a mobile app with all these structures. So just like in a Google map, you move around in the city, you see where the ATM is and hospital is. Similarly, in the rural areas, you will know what structure is there, what facilities are there. So that is the kind of, involvement we would like to see, that all the schemes which are implemented in a particular village should be available to the citizens or the farmers in their local language. We have another very prestigious project, is basically hydrological mapping, groundwater potential mapping on 1:10,000 scale. You all are aware of that Rajiv Gandhi drinking water maps were created on 1:50,000 scale, but those maps are very old now. So now we are going down to the 10,000 scale, because for all our government scheme, whatever you're talking about, Atal Bhujal to everything, we want to find out the groundwater source at the village level. So now we are starting the mapping on 10,000 scale with the WSSD, which will be a very prestigious project, and we need your help and cooperation in this project. And of course, we have many other projects which we are carrying out, State Election Commission, road development project. There are many other things. You can just see the list. I know I am running out of time. So I will just, these are the ongoing projects. Next one, please. I will just show you the one example of what is the base map looks like on 1 to 10,000 scale, because in our country, Survey of India grid is available on 1 to 10,000 scale. So on 1 to 10,000 scale, we are generating this kind of maps. And on the left-hand side, you can see even the cadastral maps with the parcel numbers are given on the base map. And on the right-hand side, we are also giving these maps as a multi-temporal base map, meaning that whatever agriculture crop we are mapping, we are also giving the crop information, like this is Kharif 2020 base map. So it shows where you have the Kharif crops, where you have the sugar cane, where you have the jowar, where you have the paddy. So these maps, crop map is overlaid along with the water body on the base map. So people will have the updated base map every time, every season. Unless until you have that kind of involvement, then only people will be keep coming to you, and all this information will be available to all these departments through our geo portal. Just to give you in detail what this depicts. So this base map, it will have all the information where you have the tube wells, you have the bore wells, you have drinking water scheme. So whatever schemes are implemented by the government of Maharashtra, all that data will be available on this base map, whether it's an irrigation department or any other department. So this is, in brief, this is the outcome of Mahabhumi project, where we are generating the base map on 1 to 4,000 scale. Next one, please. And here I would like to thank all our partner institutions who have really made it possible for us to carry out the prestigious project like Mahabhumi, because when you start a fresh mapping on 1 to 4,000 scale, it's not easy. So these are the partner institutions who have helped us at different stages of the project, and particularly Israel Hexagon software have really helped us to do the entire data analysis. So thank you, AGI, for giving us the opportunity, and thank you all our partners who have really supported us, and we hope that in the future also we'll have your support in carrying out the projects we have envisaged. Thank you very much.